Okay, so the other day I played for some of my friends one of my very favorite movies on YouTube. It is a video by this um, Hindu Advaita Vedanta teacher named Swami Sarvapriyananda, he's this guy in New York who's meditates a lot and makes all these rad videos about Indian philosophy. And this particular video is a commentary on the ancient text, the Ashtavakra, am I saying it right? Ashtavakra Gita. I used to say it wrong, and now I'm trying to teach myself to say it right, but it doesn't come out naturally. Ashtavakra, that's it. Sorry if I get it wrong. Anyway, so it's a commentary that's about an hour long on this ancient text, and I find it quite beautiful and insightful. But when I played it for my friends, some people really liked it. Others said, "Oh wow, this is a bunch of like religious bullshit." And then when they said that, I thought, "Oh, I guess that's sort of true. It's got a lot of very dramatic, preachy God language in it. For me, that's not a problem because I'm kind of used to it. But for people who aren't wired to be okay with that for various reasons, it the preachiness of his commentary can distract from the more hard-nosed philosophic core, and that's too bad. So what I want to do is make a commentary on the commentary that is a little bit more Westerny and secular, basically, so that we can get to the core philosophy. So it's broken up into just 4 verses. The original text is longer than 4 verses, but the Swami's commentary is only on 4 verses, and just like him, I'll go one at a time. So the first verse says something along the lines of, all the things that are around you are not you. You are completely detached from everything around you and completely free from not just the things like chairs and stuff, but even your body. You are not your body. You're detached from your body. And this is already getting into potentially controversial ideas. But let me explain what he's saying. You're experiencing something, right? I mean, you're living a life, and this life is very subjective. You wake up in the morning, and you're there experiencing things. You go to sleep, and you're there experiencing things, right? Even when you are asleep, you're still there. So but the solid things around you, they pop in and out of this field, right? I'm drinking this cup of coffee. You can't see it. Oh, there it is. It's a cup of coffee. There. Now watch what happens. Oh, it's gone. Right? Well, I can still see it, but I can put it behind my head and I can't see it. That's the point. This isn't really metaphysical at all. It is just an observation. And this is something that I want to get to, that in order to understand the text and the Swami's commentary, you shouldn't think of the 4 verses as a unified philosophic argument. It's more like step-by-step instructions. So that's why that they kind of contradict one another. If I were to tell you how to get to 7-Eleven, I might say, go left, walk 3 blocks, then turn right. Well, turn left and turn right are contradictory, right? If that was a unified philosophic argument, it wouldn't make any sense because it's contradictory, but your hermeneutic is wrong, right? It's the way you get to 7-Eleven is one step at a time, and the first thing you have to do is turn left, and then later on you're going to turn right. They're not contradictory because they're sequential. The 4 verses should be taken as sequential instructions in doing the inquiry, not a unified philosophic argument the way that we're usually used to, like in Western philosophy. So the first verse is simply pointing out what Descartes pointed out. You are a conscious agent. You are always present in your own field of awareness. Everything else is an object that you are seeing that is different than you. If metaphysical questions start popping up, just try to push them back, because we're not talking about metaphysics. We're talking about your life that you are living right now. Period. Nothing more and nothing less. Now, at the end of verse 1, we're basically at Descartes' landing spot. It's dualism, right? That's why if you look at the Swami's commentary, it sounds very Cartesian. It sounds like he's making an argument that you are a soul, and that you are a soul looking at the world, and that there's this two things. There is the subject and there is the object, and you are the subject, which is sort of like a Cartesian soul, and everything else is this solid object. That's where we are at the end of verse 1. And really, I hope you can see that as long as you can put aside the metaphysical kinds of questions, it's actually pretty transparent. It's just an observation. Look at this. I'm the only thing that's always there. That's all it's really saying in verse 1. Now we'll get into verse 2. Verse 2 says, well, there's a problem with this Cartesian dualism. If we think of ourselves as always there and we're viewing these external things, it's sort of like the idea that there's a guy in your brain with binoculars looking at everything. Only here's the thing. There is no guy in your brain with binoculars. That doesn't exist. Or the soul that's floating around the world, bodies without a body. The problem with that idea is that it doesn't exist. It's not, even subjectively, not just ontologically, not just metaphysically, but even in your own subjective field, the soul isn't there. It's sort of implied because you're viewing things, but it's not there. And so it's not the guy inside your brain that's looking at other things that are outside isn't a good analogy. And so in verse 2, it says something like, that your consciousness, I'm cracking open my prop. Oh, I'm about to need it. You are like the ocean. There you go. And the world, the phenomena, both physical phenomena and, here we go, both physical phenomena like chairs and bricks and the sun, as well as mental phenomena like emotions and thoughts, they are bubbles floating up in the ocean. You are the ocean, and all phenomena, both internal and external phenomena, are bubbles floating up. So what he's suggesting is that you are the conscious field. You're not part of the conscious field. You are the whole conscious field. And you should think of it as a substrate. The guy with the binoculars is a bad analogy. A better analogy is that you are the entire thing. You are the substrate, and the phenomena that you experience are waves across that, energy pulses, energy patterns across that substrate. This is how we get rid of dualism. This is non-dual. The consciousness is the substrate. You are the substrate, but have no qualities independent. You have no independent qualities that you can pin down, right? That's why tearing open a brain and finding the conscious agent is impossible. It's because it's not there. You are the substrate of your whole experience, and everything, even your emotions, even your thoughts, even your body, are momentary patterns like waves across the ocean. They're just like energy patterns across the substrate that come and go, just like waves on the top of the ocean. This can be very challenging if you take it the wrong way. He says the universe arises in you. It sounds very metaphysical, and so it can be very challenging. But remember, he's just talking about your experience. Within your experience, I shouldn't say within your experience. Your experience is a conscious field. Within that field, things arise and they pop down. Analogous to bubbles in my water. In my fizzy water, that is. Okay, Now, at this point, to me, it's sort of similar to, we went from Descartes. Now, the problem is when he says, you are the universe, and the universe, you are like reality. You are the substrate. You are the ocean, and the universe arises within you. It reminds me of Spinoza, the Western philosopher, non-dual Western mystic philosopher, who came right after Descartes. He didn't like dualism. He didn't like Descartes' idea of the soul. But what's unique about Spinoza is that he was a materialist and also a non-dual mystic. So he said that there was literally one physical substance. He used the word substance. He meant it very physical. There is one substance. The universe is one substance, and you are that. So it's very metaphysical. You are the universe. You are the physical universe. And at the end of verse 2, that's kind of where we're at. Remember, these are sequential steps. It's okay that they contradict one another, because getting to if you have to turn left and turn right to get to 7-Eleven, it's not a contradiction. That's just how you get there. So right now we're at Spinoza's non-dual substance mysticism. You are the physical universe. Ashtavakra doesn't like that, and that's not where he wants to land. Hence verse 3. Verse 3 is, Spinoza didn't take this step. Verse 3 is, the universe arising in you isn't actually real, or it is false. It's an illusion. Now it starts to get a little bit weird. What does that mean that it's an illusion? Like, dude, my coffee is literally right here. Okay, don't tell me that it's not real, because I can see it right here. It tastes pretty good, right? It's definitely real. Now, Swami Sarvapriyananda goes into great depth to explain what this means, and he talks about how it works in Sanskrit and stuff. That the word is false, as opposed to not real. Okay, so let me give you an example of something that's not real. Okay, now over here by my shed is a pink pony with butterfly wings. You see it? Oh, I guess you don't see it. Well, it's there, right? Except it's not there. There literally is no pink pony. It's not invisible. It's not a wrong interpretation. There is literally no pink pony with butterfly wings over there by my shed. Right? Let me show you something else. Okay, here's my coffee again. It's solid, right? The cup, it's really solid. It's in my hand. It weighs, I don't know, a pound, 3/4 of a pound. Well, with the coffee, it's probably about a pound, right? Right? Now, how do you see it, though? Do you see it as a solid thing? You do, right? You could probably say, oh, I can imagine how that feels in your hand, right? It's just right there. Except it's not right there, right? It's actually, the cup is an image on your screen. It's made out of pixels. Now, don't worry about my point of view, because I have a different point of view on the cup. We're talking about your life. This is what you have to come back to, is we're talking about your life, your point of view. And we're trying to avoid projecting out into all of this metaphysics, even though we tend to have a knee-jerk reaction to want to do that. In your life, this cup is not actually solid. It's pulling a fast one on you. It looks like a cup that weighs about a pound and contains coffee, but reach out and try to drink it. Take it from me. What does the coffee taste like? You can't do it because it's not real. Like, it's an illusion projected on the screen of your computer. This is analogous to what the Swami and Ashtavakra are talking about. They're not saying that you're not experiencing the cup. They're saying that the cup is pulling a fast one on you. It is pretending to be an external thing. The experience itself, that is, the experience of the cup is pulling a fast one on you. It is pretending to not be an experience. It is pretending to be an actual independently existing cup. And it is trying to trick you into believing that you aren't having a subjective experience. It is trying to pretend that this body isn't a neurologically created avatar, it is actually you. But we know that it's actually a neurologically created, basically, avatar. Your body, the body that you experience, isn't your real body, right? It is neurologically created, just like the cup. But it's an illusion in the sense that it is trying to pull a fast one on you and trick you into believing that it's the real thing, even though we know that it's not. That's not controversial. This is mainstream neuroscience now. That's when the text says that the world is an illusion. That's what they're saying. It isn't actually solid. It isn't actually like liquid. It's more analogous to pixels pretending to be liquid. That's verse 3. You're right. Verse 4 is just an emotional consequence of this. And the Swami uses the word serenity, and it gets kind of fluffy and a little bit hard to follow because it seems so inspirational. But the core message here really does fall from the first three. All of the stresses that we have in life are like storms across the sea. They don't affect the sea. Imagine in the Gulf of Mexico, you've got a super cyclone of 1 million of the worst sharknadoes in the universe, all clumped together right in the Gulf of Mexico. Well, Florida's fucked. But the water itself, it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter how bad the storm is. The water itself is not affected at all. That's what verse 4 is saying. It's not saying that you're not going to have bad days. It's not saying that when you stub your foot that you don't feel pain. The pain is real. It comes, it goes. But you are the substrate. So there's no reason to freak out about all the things you freak out about. But here's the funny thing. You're going to freak out about all the things that you freak out about. And even your freaking out is yet another wave across the ocean. So there's no reason to freak out about freaking out. But if you find yourself, and like people who think of themselves as spiritual and they want to become enlightened, they actually kind of go in this circle. And it's the circle that the teachers help them get out. Because now they're freaking out about freaking out about freaking out. They're like, well, I know I shouldn't be freaking out about stubbing my toe, only I am freaking out about stubbing my toe. And now I'm freaking out about stubbing my toe because I know I'm supposed to be enlightened, but I'm not enlightened because I'm freaking out about stubbing my toe. Right? What Ashtavakra says is, it doesn't matter, because we're not talking about a goal, the goal of enlightenment. We're talking about who you already are. You already are the ocean. And stubbing your toe and the whole circle about freaking out and are you enlightened and are you not enlightened, all of that crap is just waves across the ocean. It's just sharks in your Sharknado. It doesn't affect the ocean itself. You are already still. The real you. This is also where it gets into immortality. When the Swami says that the real you is immortal, that is naturally going to bring up a lot of skepticism, because we're used to like Christians saying that you're immortal. But what they mean is totally different. They're saying that your personality and your memories, and maybe even your body, because some religions even talk about bodily resurrection. We're not talking about, it's ironic that I'm doing this on Easter. Well, that's okay. Right? Easter's a good example. Like, the story is Jesus bodily, his body, his emotions, his personality, right? All of it is literally coming back to life and like lifting off, going and hanging out with his friends for a couple days, and then lifting off and physically going to heaven. When Ashtavakra talks about immortality, it's talking about something completely different. What it's saying is that when you die, your body falls down and it decomposes and worms eat it, and all of that information that was in your brain gets what's the word in computer science corrupted? That's the word, right? All of that information gets corrupted, and it doesn't go anywhere, probably, right? All of that stuff, your personality, your memory, all of it is gone. Everything that you think of as you most of the time is gone. But all of that stuff that I just identified, that's not the ocean. This is the argument they're making. That's not the ocean. That is the bubbles in the ocean. All that stuff that you're freaking out about that is going to end when you die, all of that stuff is arising and falling every time that you fall asleep anyway. So don't worry about it. You're the ocean. So time, space, your experience of time, your experience of space, your experience of life and death, all of the content, 100% of the content of your life is the patterns across the substrate, not the substrate itself. And that is what they mean by immortality.